Welcome to Inside the World of TCR, Episode 8, our second of the 2019 season. On the menu this time, WTCR from the Slovakia Ring and Zandvoort, TCR Europe from Hockenheim, TCR Asia from Zhuhai, IMSA from Mid-Ohio, TCR Germany from Most, TCR Italy from Misano, and TCR Russia from Nizhniy Novgorod. We'll also have a one-to-one interview with Mat'o Homola. Stay with us. WTCR went to the Slovakia Ring for the third event of the season. Marquinhos's Alpha was easily the fastest car at the start, and from third on the grid took the lead into turn 1 from Tom Coronel and Norbert Mikelic. On the opening lap, Niels Lankeveld and Esteban Gurrieri made contact and rejoined at the back, while Kevin Chekon and Nestor Girolami went off after a collision, and that prompted the safety car into action. For Chekon, this was the sixth consecutive non-finish of the season on a track where the Alpha looked to be competitive. While for Girolami, this was his second DNF of the season. The turning point of the race came on lap 5, when Frederik Vervisch in an Audi overtook Marquinhos for the lead, to the joy of the Come To You racing team. So, the first win of the season for Vervisch. Marquinhos managed to hold on for an impressive second position after being under pressure from Mikelic for much of the race. Vernet was 4th, Farfus 5th, and defending champion Tarquini 6th. In the second race, Rob Huff, who was on pole of the top 6 reverse grid, led the field into turn 1, followed by Girolami and Gurrieri, who made a great start from 6th. On lap 2, Girolami's Honda overtook Huff's Volkswagen for the lead. On lap 3, Gabriele Tarquini was penalised with a drive-through because of this contact with Aurelien Panis, who went slightly off track. The excellent pace of the Alpha in Slovakia was proved once again on lap 7, when Chekon took third from Huff. But it was a 1-2 finish for Honda, Munich Motorsport and Argentina, with Nestor Girolami winning in front of Esteban Gurrieri. Cue the celebrations. Just as in race 1, Marquinhos made a great start from third on the grid for the day's last race and took the lead from pole sitter Niki Katzberg and Mikelic. 5 laps into the race and Kevin Chekon in the second Giulietta overtook Niki Katzberg for third. The battle for the lead was brilliant, with Norbert Mikelic doing all he could to challenge Marquinhos. But in the end, the Chinese driver managed to keep his position. For Team Mulsanne, it was a real triumph, with Marquinhos first and Chekon third, their best ever result. Huge joy in the Mini Parc Fermé for the team. Zandvoort hosted the 4th meeting of the WTCR season. In the first race, Ted Björk sprinted from pole and took the lead from Ivan Muller, while Andy Prio made a poor start and dropped behind Mikel Azcona. Some bumper-to-bumper action, but not much more than that. On a circuit that'll host F1 in 2020, the race was mostly processional, with the cars in a single line split by small gaps. The only change in the top positions happened on the penultimate lap, when the reigning TCR Scandinavia champion, Johan Kristoffersen's Golf, took 4th from Andy Prio in a Lincoln Co. For 2017 WTCC champion Ted Björk, this was his second win of the season. His teammate Ivan Muller was second in front of 2018 TCR Europe champion Mikel Azcona. Kristoffersen was 4th, Prio 5th and Mehdi Benani 6th. Huge celebrations in the Mini Parc Fermé for Björk. And also for Azcona, after grabbing his second podium of the season. In the second race, Esteban Gurrieri's Honda Civic made a perfect start from pole, and he took the lead into turn 1 from Benjamin Leuchter, Johan Kristoffersen and Niki Katzberg. The race was disrupted once by the safety car from lap 2 to lap 4, while the marshals recovered Attila Tashi's car that was stranded in the gravel after being punted by Tom Coronel, as you can see from the onboard footage. Then Ivan Muller made a mistake on lap 4, went wide at the final turn and lost 4 places. So Esteban Guerrieri took another lights to flag victory, the second for him so far this season. Leuchter finished second, his best result of the year so far, and Christophersen was third. Guerrieri couldn't hide his joy at the end of the race.
Yes, baby! Yes, 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 yes!
At the start of race 3, Jan Ehrlichie, starting from pole, swerved to the right, nearly pushing Björk into the pit wall. The two cars made contact, and Björk managed to squeeze through to take the lead. Behind them, Augusto Farfus started better than Norbert Mikelic and settled into third position.
Front positions on the main straight. Front positions on the main straight, please.
As requested by radio from the team, Ehrlichie and Björk swapped positions, and Ehrlichie took the lead, as you can see from these pictures. But later on, the team changed its mind, leaving Ehrlichie unimpressed.
You pulled across too early. Talk to me on the lap, and that's what we are.
Hey, Peter, I have the weakest engine of everybody. Of course, if we do a drag race, I lose. I have the weakest engine of everybody. I'm already penalized like hell by this. You should think about that. It's the second time now this season I'm because of the engine.
Ehrlichie was clearly very unhappy, but a team order is a team order, and so he and Björk swapped positions again, with the Swede retaking the lead. In the end, it was a 1-2 for Link & Co, with Norbert Mikelic in third, completing the podium. Farfus was fourth in front of Muller and Athkanar. So while Björk celebrated his quite bizarre win, Guerrieri retained the lead in the standings. But the Swede climbed to second, having reduced his gap from the Argentinian to just 9 points. Girolami dropped to third, 15 points behind Björk. After a successful opening event at the Hungaroring, TCR Europe resumed at Hockenheim for rounds 3 and 4. 32 cars were on the grid, and two strong drivers, Tom Coronel and Daniel Lloyd, were making their first appearances in the 2019 series. Just as at the Hungaroring, it was a target competition Hyundai i30N that set the pole, this time with Josh Files, who made a good start and so led into turn 1. Behind him, championship leader Gilles Magnus, second on the grid, had a difficult start, and after turn 2 he'd lost 2 positions, with Luca Engstler and Maxime Potti both getting in front of him. At the end of the first lap, Mat'o Homola and Stian Paulsen made contact while battling for 10th. It wasn't an easy TCR Europe debut for Dan Lloyd. On lap 2, the TCR UK champion tried passing on the inside of Luca Filippi into turn 2 for 8th. He passed the Italian but then crashed into Aurelien Comte. While the Frenchman managed to continue, Lloyd's race ended there and then. Still on lap 2, a group of no fewer than 8 cars arrived side by side into turn 6, battling for 8th place. With almost everybody touching somebody, Gianni Morbidelli and Mat'o Homola were those who suffered the most, going wide and losing positions. After contact with Homola on lap 1, Stian Paulsen had another contact in exactly the same place 1 lap later, this time with Dusan Borkovic. The Serbian went wide, while the Norwegian had to retire. At the end of lap 5, Borkovic had another contact in turn 16. This time it was with Luca Filippi. The Italian spun and had to retire because of a broken front splitter. Santiago Urrutia had a terrible start. 7th on the grid, he was 14th after lap 1. Then he started to recover. This was when he took 7th from Comte. On the same lap, Mat'o Homola spun and finished in the gravel. To allow the marshals to remove the car, the safety car was deployed for a couple of laps. Tom Coronel, who missed the opening event of TCR Europe because of a clash with WTCR, pushed hard to score points. This was his tough door-to-door scrap with Nelson Ponciatici for 11th. No mistakes for Josh Files during the entire race, and so he took his first win of the season in a 1-2 for Hyundai, with Luca Engstler finishing second. Maxime Potti completed the podium in third. Celebrations then for Files, following a win with an even greater significance than usual, thanks to the misfortunes of some of the series' main title contenders. Julien Brichet's Peugeot, the winner of the second race at the Hungaroring, started race 2 from pole and kept the lead into turn 1. Behind the Frenchman, Jessica Beckman kept her second place, while Santiago Urrutia once again had a poor start. Third on the grid, the Uruguayan was passed by 4 competitors, and so was only 7th when the pack arrived at turn 2. On the first lap, after a few corners, while Brichet was building a comfortable gap, Aurélien Comte managed to overtake Jessica Beckman for second, and at almost the same time, Andreas Beckman took 4th from Maxime Potti. Lap 1 was extremely hectic, but there was a bit too much excitement for some. Stian Paulsen went into the gravel and managed to continue, but was soon heavily hit from behind by Dusan Borkovic. The Norwegian then ended up in the barriers. Only 2 laps completed for him out of the 2 races. The safety car was deployed to remove the car, while Homola retired with a damaged front after also contacting Borkovic on lap 1. When the race resumed, a breathtaking battle for 6th dominated the race. Files tried to pass Luca Enchler on the inside of turn 1, but he went wide at the exit of the corner, and while the pair finished side by side on the following straight, Santiago Urrutia managed to pass them both with an impressive manoeuvre, considering that just a few inches behind him was Gilles Magnus. A tough battle between Enchler, Files, Magnus and Coronel then kept the spectators entertained. This was when Magnus overtook Files. While Borkovic had to serve a drive-through penalty because of the contact with Paulsen. 1 lap later, with exactly the same move at the same corner, Files retook 8th from Magnus. 8 laps into the race, and Santiago Urrutia overtook Maxime Potti for 5th. Once the Uruguayan can master a good start in his Audi, surely he'll be able to challenge for the leading places. After a great debut in touring cars at the Hungaroring, Nelson Ponciatici ended his weekend with a DNF. Only 7 points were scored by the French driver in Germany. This was how Julien Brichet in his JSB Competition Peugeot 308 grabbed his 2nd win of the season. Another Frenchman, Aurélien Comte, was 2nd in another Peugeot, and so completed a French 1-2. After the race, it was time to celebrate for the French pair, and time to release the pressure for Jessica Beckman, who finished 3rd and so stepped onto the podium for the first time. In the championship standings, Files is the new leader with 5 points over Brichet and 23 over Magnus. But with still 10 races to go and such a strong field, the battle promises to be tight until the very end. The next event is on the legendary racetrack of Spa at the beginning of June. Even though he's only 24 years old, Slovakian Mat'o Homola had a win in WTCR in 2018 and is a familiar face in touring cars. We asked him some questions.
I'm a son of a race driver. My father was driving hill climb in Slovakia. I was all the time on some racing events. And yeah, from the age 4, when I firstly sit in the go-kart, I fell in love. I'm optimistic and I'm competitive a lot because I want to win. It's in my heart from the beginning. I wanted to be the best. Senna, I think, I'm sure, because it's kind of my hero, because he was really motivated to win world titles. His driving was phenomenal, especially on the wet. I was born in the same year that he crashed in Imola, so yeah, I couldn't see it live, but I know his, let's say, these thoughts and mental approach that I really admire. I think it's Gabriele. I think it's Gabriele because he changed so much cars, and he won titles in the World Championships in touring cars, and he was always pretty good. Still in his age, he's beating younger drivers, so it's really inspirational for sure. So I think Gabriele. We chose target competition together with the Hyundai because we thought, and now we are sure that it's the best option for me. They're preparing and doing with the 5 cars. It's quite a lot, but they're managing it really in a good way. I also can use their experience to get used to the car as fast as possible. My race engineer is Albert. He's really good. He's working together with Target a long time. So yeah, it's a really good choice also from the Target to have this really important person in the team, because without him, I think Target wouldn't be successful as it is. He's Thomas, my guy, who is my social media guy. For sure, he's the best friend. He's with me since 2016. He's kind of the psychologist as well, to deal with the fun things, because I also need some fun during the tough days, for example, when I have the tough days, after some not maybe really good results. One. Yeah, I came here to win the TCR Europe title. So that's simple. For sure it will be difficult. You can see how many good drivers are here. We will see, but yeah, it will be not easy for sure.
All eyes were glued to the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge TCR battle in the final 15 minutes at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course on the 5th of May. It was Hyundai versus Audi as the race approached the checkered flag, with the Brian Herter Autosport number 98 Hyundai Veloster N battling against Audi RS3 LMS entries from Mark Motors Racing and Roadshagger Racing. Michael Lewis in the Hyundai had all he could handle against Remo Ruscitti in the number 81 Mark Motors Audi, with the two continuously swapping the lead. With 3 minutes remaining, Lewis slid his Hyundai around Ruscitti and a GS car, blocking the latter to take the lead and the win. Ruscitti was relegated to second and left to battle Morley. Contact with the number 61 car sent Ruscitti spinning onto the grass, ultimately winding up fourth, and so Morley, with his co-driver Gavin Ernstone, was the runner-up. Rounding out the podium in their best finish to date as rookies were Russell McDonough and Ryan Nash in the number 12 Rowe Racing Audi RS3 LMS. The fourth round of the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge will be the 4 hours of Watkins Glen on June the 29th. TCR Asia went to Zhuhai for rounds 3 and 4 of the season, which also counted as the opening event of TCR China. 2018 TCR Asia champion Luca Enschler took the lead at the start from pole position ahead of Diego Moran. During the first lap, both Dan Lloyd and Pepe Oriola overtook the Ecuadorian, who would progressively drop back to eventually finish 7th. While in front, Luca Enschler built a lead of a few seconds. Midway through the race, Oriola passed Lloyd for second. The safety car, which was deployed when Malaysian Douglas Koo in a Cupra went off, stayed out till the end of the race. So Luca Enschler grabbed his second win of the season. Oriola finished second, completing a 1-2 for Hyundai. Dan Lloyd's Honda was third and won the TCR China race in front of Macanese driver Clemente Felipe de Souza. In the second race, pole sitter Kenneth Look stalled at the start, leaving Roland Hurtner to take the lead from Oriola, Adam Khalid, Alex Hui and Luca Enschler. At the end of the first lap, Hurtner went wide and was overtaken by both Oriola and Enschler. On the second lap, Enschler overtook Oriola for the lead. Hurtner then went off following contact with Diego Moran, and the safety car was deployed. Racing resumed on lap 6 as the rain began to fall. At turn 11, Oriola slipped off the track and was followed by Lloyd, Z and Felipe de Souza. Only Lloyd was able to rejoin at the back of the field. With 3 cars stranded in the gravel, the safety car was prompted into action once again. When action resumed on lap 11, a pile-up involving Adam Khalid, Douglas Koo and Cherry Chung resulted in yet another safety car intervention. And so, just as in race 1, it was Luca Enschler who crossed the finishing line in first place, in front of Moran and Miranda. Huang Chu Han won the TCR China race. Luca Enschler now leads the championship with a 9-point gap over Moran. One of the most recent additions to the TCR family, TCR Australia, debuted in Sydney in mid-May. 16 starters formed the grid for the season's opening race, and with a format of 3 races per event, Jason Bright, driving a Volkswagen Golf GTI, became the first ever winner when he won race 1 at Sydney Motorsport Park. In race 2 and race 3, Will Brown scored back-to-back wins at the wheel of the Hyundai i30N run by HMO Customer Racing. So he also took the lead of the championship with 122 points and a 12-point cushion over Dylan O'Keefe. Mike Halder in a Honda pipped the Hyundai of pole sitter and defending champion Harold Procik at the start of TCR Germany's race 1 at Most in the Czech Republic. It counted as round 3 of the season. Right at the start into the first chicane, Marcel Fugel and Lucas Niederschreider made contact and went straight on, while Hyundai guest driver Jessica Beckman was pushed off. The safety car was deployed in order to recover her car from the gravel trap. 7 laps into the race and Fugel missed the braking point, collecting Julian Apotolos's Cupra that was running in 8th position. They both retired. Only a few corners before the end, Dominic Fugel went wide and Harold Procik went through to take 3rd. So it was a lights to flag win for Mike Halder, the second from him so far this season. Hesse was second in front of Procik, Fugel, Antti Buri, Teo Koikord and the young Malaysian Mitchell Che, who won the junior class. Bradley Burns started the reverse grid race 2 from pole and led into turn 1 from fellow Honda racer Dominic Fugel, who'd started from 5th on the grid. A tight battle between Buri and Dominic Fugel was hugely entertaining. After some contact, bumper-to-bumper and door-to-door racing, this was when the Finn managed to overtake the German for 2nd place. The last part of the race was then all about a fierce battle for the lead between Buri and Bradley Burns, with the cars often drifting sideways given the tyre degradation. This was on the last lap when the Finn finally managed to overtake the Brit, who tried hard to defend his lead, as you can see from this robust contact. For Antti Buri, it was his 2nd win of the season. Burns was 2nd and Dominic Fugel managed to finish 3rd after a tough battle with Halder. Halder retained the championship lead, 15 points now over Hesse, while Buri moved up to 3rd, 17 points behind the leader. Defending champion Procik is 4th with a 37-point gap. There was drama at the start of TCR Italy race 1 at Misano for Jacopo Guidetti in an Audi. 2nd on the grid, he moved slightly before stopping with a broken drive shaft. The safety car was deployed to remove the car. For this contact with Massimiliano Mugelli's Alfa, Matteo Greco in a Cupra received a drive-through penalty. On lap 10, right after a safety car period, Salvatore Tavano's Cupra overtook the Audi of Enrico Bettera for the lead. But that lead didn't last long and he had to retire just 2 laps later, leaving 1st place to Marco Pellegrini in a target competition Hyundai. Bettera was 2nd and Scalvini completed the podium. At the start of the 2nd race on a wet track, both Felix Wimmer and Matteo Bergonzini, who sat on the front row, didn't have good reflexes, so Salvatore Tavano took the lead from the Austrian, Matteo Greco and Massimiliano Mugelli. This is how the battle for 5th ended between Enrico Bettera and the 16-year-old Jacopo Guidetti, who was black flagged for his aggressive move. On lap 13, Matteo Greco overtook Massimiliano Mugelli for the lead. And 1 lap later, on the last lap of the race, his teammate Eric Scalvini overtook the Alfa Romeo of Mugelli to grab 2nd place. So for the team it was a 1-2 for Greco and Scalvini, a way possibly to make up for the disappointment of seeing Tavano retire from the lead for the 2nd time of the weekend. After 4 races, Bettera now leads the series with a 2-point gap over Pellegrini. TCR Russia went to Nizhniy Novgorod for its 2nd event of the season. The first race, contested in glorious weather, was influenced by a big accident at the first corner, which put a number of top players out of contention. Irek Minakhmitov braked too late on the inside line and didn't manage to turn in, going straight on and collecting several drivers, including Mikhail Grachov, Anton Badoev and Alexei Dudukalo. Klim Gavrilov, who'd already won the TCR Italy opening race earlier this year at Monza, took his first win of the season on home soil. The young driver beat Ivan Lukashevich and Kirill Ladigin. Reigning champion Dmitry Bragin finished 5th, behind Andrei Maslenikov. In the 2nd race, Alexei Dudukalo made a great start from pole and led from Lev Tolkachev's Cupra going into turn 1. But there was contact between the Lada of Kirill Ladigin and Ibrahim Akhmedov's Volkswagen Golf GTI. On lap 15, Timur Shigabutdinov and Ivan Chubarov made contact at turn 1, following an ill-judged dive by Chubarov up the inside of Lukashevich. They both retired. On lap 20, while battling for 6th, Andrei Maslenikov and Mikhail Grachov made contact at turn 2. Grachov's Lada ended in the barriers and the safety car was called into action once again. With no time to recover Grachov's car, the race finished behind the safety car. Duducalo took the victory from Bragin, with Tolkachev completing the podium. Bragin has now retaken the championship lead, 4 points ahead of Duducalo, while Ladigin has dropped from 1st to 3rd and is now 9 points adrift. That then was Inside the World of TCR Episode 8. We'll be back in a month's time with more great touring car action from all over the world, but for now, it's goodbye.